kala ni eja
go yalla
naga def
yo fo jone
mba def la suma tol bala wari on
man de man fa tehi man
yaa ngi toog da de ga son
man fa tehi di man suma tol bi fa boy baxatul
xana do de use engrais fertilizer
man lolu yow bu huti ko fa tehi dem ci dépôt ba dafa huti fa sori
gis nga mbayum léegi boo amul fertilizer du baax de engrais kenn jëndeetu ko ci def
boo ko jëlee ci def foo koy xamee
kay yaa ngi doog a ñëw xam nga Reliance banque bi ñuy wax Reliance
faa koy dégg waaw
kay gis nga boo demee Reliance ci boppam foofu ngay fayee saako yi nga bëgg nu mu toll nga fay ba pare ñu jox la sa receipt gis nga receipt boobu ñu lay jox moom ngay yóbbu nag ca dépôt ba
kon fu ne ko dem ci dépôt ba te yóbbu la kay doo ko am
déedéet
fu ne su ma jógoone su ma xaalis dem ci dépôt ba dama am
déedéet doo am foog nga dem Reliance fay ba pare
waaw
soo ko dem nag ak sa receipt ca dépôt ba waa Gambia Granite Corporation lii la ñu wax
yow fi ne fa nga jëm ni la
waaw fa laay dem bi
xaaral kon kay ni jàmm jox la nga jëndaa leen ma ay yow man de fi di saako doon yàgg te dama ko xam
maa la ko wax de
boo xàggee jëndaa leen ma
mbokk yi nii lañ ko bëggee waa Gambia Granite Corporation ñu ne saako engrais $700 dong lay jar muy juróom-ñaar téeméeri dalasi rek yomb na lool daw leen Reliance bu leen gën a jege si PMS tam dañuy jaay comme ni ko Reliance di jaayee boo fa demee dinañ la jaay te engrais bii pour réew mi kese la bëgguñ mu génn réew mi.
Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gash, producers of the finest tomato paste in the Gambia. Jaja tomato paste, available in 5 kilos, 1 kilo and in sachets. For wholesale and retail, visit our factory at Banjulunding. We are also producers of Jaja mineral water, cool, clear and fresh. Gash, Gambia, Angola, China Holding, with headquarters at Fatu Golden Plaza, Mile 7, Bertel Harding Highway. Gash Group also provides the best security company, Gash Security, for your offices, warehouses, homes and personal property. Gash Group for all your construction projects, offering you quality water reticulation for your gardens, pump irrigation, tidal irrigation projects and all types of buildings. You can contact Gash on 396-7894, 700-8993, 373-0259. Visit us at Gash Global Group on Battle Harden Highway, Fatu Golden Plaza. Our website www.gashglobal.com. Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gash.
It's a warm welcome here in our studios in Serekunda. This is Star TV News with me, Sarah Kamara. In the headlines tonight, in a press release sent to Star TV, charges against Mr. Madi Jobate dropped by the Inspector General of Police with immediate effect. Government vows support for the family of COVID-19 nurse corps. The demonstration done by Haruna Jatta and co was unlawful, says Mai Ahmed Fati. Duduja rebukes publication on confirmed coalition talks between APRC and the NPP. The government should come to our rescue, says natives of Igbo Town. And on the international scene, Mali opposition rejects president's concessions amid stalemate. Iranian officials urge to unite after nuclear plant blast. COVID-19 could force about 10 million kids out of school. Those were the headlines, and now the news in details. In a press release sent to Star TV, following a fruitful discussion at the headquarters of the National Human Rights Commission on Friday, 10th July 2020, with the Gambia Police Force, the National Human Rights Commission, the Gambia Bar Association, and the Association of Non-Governmental Organization Tango, the Inspector General of Police has agreed to drop with immediate effect all the charges preferred against Mr. Madi Jobate, a human rights activist who was charged with false publication and broadcast contrary to Section 181A, subsection 1 of the Criminal Code of the Gambia. This milestone, following the advisory role of the National Human Rights Commission, was achieved after a frank discussion with the Commission had with the Inspector General of Police on Thursday, 9 July 2020, subsequent to its concern raised with the Minister of Interior regarding the case. For more information on the release, you can go to the National Human Rights Commission's website on www.gm-nhrc.org. The release ends. The Health Minister, Dr. Amadou Lamin Samate, revealed at a press briefing held last week Friday at his ministry in Banjul that the government will support the family of COVID-19 nurse who passed away due to the virus. Mr. Samate seized the opportunity to extend his condolences to the family of a nurse who died of COVID-19. Modi Elbaji has rest of the story.
As the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases increases worldwide, global efforts are required to rapidly weed out the pandemic. On the other hand, the Gambia is ranked 117 globally and 19 in Africa for its preparedness to tackle the virus. The Minister of Health, Dr. Amadou Lamin Samate, extended condolences to the family of the nurse who was pronounced dead as a result of the coronavirus. Dr. Samate described the disease as a thoughtful individual who had passion for what he did.
This week, we announced the passing away of the third COVID-19 patient in this country, who happened to be one of us. He was a 50-year-old man who was working as a frontliner in one of our hospitals. He dedicated his life to the service of humanity and was there caring for patients who needed help before he himself succumbed to COVID-19. This news has saddened the entire Ministry of Health and the government of the Gambia as a whole. We extend our sincere condolences to his family, colleagues and friends with whom we have been in contact. We are touched by their strong faith in Allah and their forbearance. We assure them that their father, colleague, friend, was a gallant son of this country who sacrificed immensely for this country. His sacrifice will never go in vain. He was my own personal friend and colleague with whom we enjoyed work. He was an easygoing man who respected every individual, who spoke to patients in a way that suited them even as they experience the pain from their disease. We pray that Allah grants him Jannatul Firdaus. He will surely be missed by us all. To his wife and children, we say to you that Dad was a hero that you should all be proud of. We also assure you that your uncles and aunties, that is all of us in the healthcare fraternity, will always stand by you. The government of the Gambia will always stand by you. At this juncture, we announce on behalf of the government that a support package is being worked on by the government and will be communicated to the family.
Dr. Samate also made a clarion call to the frontline health workers who are forecasting to embark on a sit-down strike to continue their normal services as the government is planning to address some of their problems.
We reassure all health workers that the government of the Gambia stands by them during these trying times. The government and the people of this country appreciate your hard work, dedication, and commitment to the service of our nation. All affected healthcare workers will receive full support from the government. We also appeal to the people of this country that COVID-19 is still going on. It is spreading fast. Within the last month, we had seen a 100% increase of the number of cases, more so when our neighbor, Senegal, lifted the internal restrictions. COVID-19 is deadly. We have seen our people succumb to this disease. It is as serious as before. In fact, we believe the risk is higher in the Gambia now than it was 3-4 months ago, because already We have seen local transmission, and in one of the cases, it led to the death of a person. That means COVID-19 is a reality. There is no room for complacency.
The increase in confirmed COVID-19 cases in the Gambia sends a strong message to the country's health sector as the nation has limited treatment centers. Nevertheless, Minister Samate said that there are more rooms to accommodate patients.
There are various treatment centers. We have one at the sanatorium that you are aware of. Probably that's the one we are talking about, which goes up to 40 patients really. But because they want the patients to spread out, because for now we are not overburdened by the number of patients. That's why it is at 34. But you're also aware that our partner, the Medical Research Council, has a number of beds also, 20 to 30 beds they also have. And we have at the Ndeban Clinic 40 beds that are already waiting for patients. That place is also ready. And the bigger portion of Ndeban could take 4 times that number of beds. So for now, we have not gone to that level where our treatment centers are overflowed. And I'm sure you are aware that treatment centers are going to be constructed along the length and breadth of this country. Yes, we spoke about that quite some time ago, but you know, these things, you have to follow the processes because a procurement process is there and it has to be following the rules. Otherwise, you know, things will not be done accordingly, and we don't desire that. So we have to follow the rules, even though it's an emergency, but we make sure that the rules are obeyed in an expedited manner. Thank you.
Amadou Lamin Samate urged the general public to vigorously stay vigilant and observe the COVID-19 preventive measures as recommended by the World Health Organization. For Star TV, I am Modu Elbaji.
Haruna Jatta, a native of Kanilai village, the hometown of ex-President Yahya Jammeh, was allegedly shot to death by economic forces at Kanilai in 2017. He was among the protesters that called for the removal of the economic soldiers from Fonyi. However, Mai Ahmed Fati, speaking to Star TV, says that protest was unlawful. Binta Koli reports.
Since his demise, his family and loved ones have been calling for justice and badly want to know who killed their beloved native. They claim that the government hasn't still answered their question. Mai Fati said that the demonstration done by Haruna and Co. was not in accordance with the law. He added that they should have applied for a permit, and if it was granted, they would have been provided with security personnel that will have been there for their own safety. According to Mai, none of those were observed. He added that being the interior minister at that time, he deemed it necessary for everyone living in the Gambia to respect and obey the law, being it the president or any other citizen. I did not consider tribe, position or wealth in carrying out my duties as the then Minister of Interior, Mai Fati said. According to Mai, the demand the demonstrators put forward was for the government to remove the economic soldiers from Fonyi. He said that he was not around when the event took place, so he was called to come back and resolve the issue. He acknowledged that he was briefed on the issue by senior service chiefs. I decided to work based on the information I received, he said. He added that among the steps he took was to go to the state TV and try to calm Gambians who were panicked by the incident. And he also made a statement by saying, if you do not agree to abide by the law, then the law will eat you up. Mai specifically made it clear that ECOMIC has never been under the Interior Ministry. He said that he only intervened when Haruna was dead and there were some casualties. At that time, the ECOMIC was under the Ministry of Defense and President Adama Barrow was overseeing that position, he added. According to him, that was why he was not involved in the investigation of the matter. He ultimately confirmed that he did not set eyes on the investigation results. For Star TV News, I am Binta Kuli.
The assistant spokesperson of Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction, APRC, Duduja, has denied the headline publication of the Standard newspaper, stating that APRC has confirmed talks with NPP for a coalition. He added that he was interviewed by that medium yesterday, but their headline of today was misleading. Jacqueline Colley interviewed him, and she now reports.
Duduja revoked the headline of the Standard newspaper and completely labeled the write-up as misleading to the general public.
The headline for me, it's misleading. But everybody who knows Standard newspaper, it's not the first time. They did it before, and they're still doing it, I would say. And they interviewed me, and that was yesterday. I believe they should put my picture. So portraying the president, Adama Barrow.
Mr. Jas said that the APRC has other parties besides the NPP that are showing keen interest to work with them, but he doesn't want to disclose their identity yet.
Yes, what I said is we have parties that approach us showing interest, they want to work with the APRC. Working with us, is it to form a coalition? Is it to back us, or do they want us to support them? It is yet not to be, clear. And I refuse to disclose those political parties for the very fact that nothing, is concrete yet. We haven't agreed anything, and it wouldn't be fair to mention their names whilst they have not engaged our executive even to discuss on possible alliances. So this is the reason I don't want to mention their names unless they give me the green light to do so. But we're looking forward to it. We're open to work with any party, but as at now, we're yet to sit with any political party to discuss positively and to agree on anything.
He highlighted that before the APRC could think of forming any alliance with the NPP, certain demands must be put in place. Some of them include the life of the former President Yahya Jammeh and the sales of his assets, as well as the assets of their party, which he claimed were sold illegally.
If in all NPP and APRC will form an alliance, what would be our commands, our demands for that matter? And I clarified, I said, first and foremost, this government, the cabinet, most of them are incompetent. These are my own observations and what I see in this country. They are not competent. And for that matter, a huge reshuffle must take place. Let them bring in people competent enough to man these offices to push this country forward. It's not necessarily has to be APRC people, but Gambians, I said there are thousands of Gambians who can occupy those offices. And I said hiring and firing, it's not a taboo. If you can't deliver, you must go. Somebody else who can do the job must be given the opportunity. I say we will not support any government that is not serving the interests of Gambians. Then APRC, we will be blamed, for not pushing this country forward. I highlighted that. Then I talked about the constitution not being respected. The rights of a former president is not accorded to him. And the joint declaration with the AU, ECOWAS, and the United Nations negotiated on behalf of the government. They are not respecting that. How do we support somebody who don't respect agreements, who don't honor what the laws of the land says? And the assets of the party and the former president, I said it is also been abused, illegally sold, etc. I said things must be put straight before we think of any possible alliance with this NPP party.
He stressed that the APRC has installed internet in their bureau with the motive of creating an online radio and an online TV. He said that their website will soon start operating. All these, he said, is in the pipeline, and that they want to connect to the rest of the world so that people will have first-hand information of what the APRC is up to. He assured that their initiative will be implemented in a month or two. Jacqueline Coley, reporting for Star TV News.
Star TV went to Ibo Town to see the current situation of the native after a day-long rain yesterday. The residents of Ibo Town urged the government to help them regarding the poor condition they have lived in since the regime of former President Yahya Jammeh. Hadi Judge was on the ground, but Dado Cham files in this report.
Maria Masise, a native of Ibo Town, said that this is not a thing of today, but they have been living in the situation for several years. Now they hope that the current government, councillor and MP will help them, but they still haven't seen any improvement. According to her, whenever it rains, they always live in fear, knowing that if the water has no place to go, it will enter into their houses. She urged the government to go to Ibo Town to see the unhealthy condition they live in. Mustafa Sise, a van driver, said that they have no place to go to and the water is too much. So they are seeking help from the leaders they voted for during election to help them talk to the government to visit Ibo Town to see their situation, because whenever it rains, their customers will not go out, which means they will not work for the whole of that day. Cesar said that he has never witnessed a day the councillor went there to talk about the poor roads of Ibo Town. Every year, this is the same poor condition we suffered in, he said. We want the government to hear our cry and come to our rescue. Since I knew Ibo Town, this is the way the drivers have been suffering during the raining season, he said. According to Penda, for the past 22 years, their roads haven't been repaired, And now, to even have a place to pass through is always a problem. And they hope the new government will help them, but still there is no improvement. Penda further said that those in their houses can take care of their houses to ensure that whenever it rains, their houses will not flow with water. But repairing the road is the work of the government, which should be done to ensure that people have good roads to make movements easy for them. Repairing the road will go a long way towards helping the drivers, because the drivers also face so many difficulties while driving in the raining season, she said. She also said that they cannot go to the government directly, but the government hears their cries on TV. So she is urging the government to help them. But if they refuse to come to their aid, they will not vote in their favor come the next elections. Penda Drame noted that they face so many difficulties during the rainy season, and the roads are very poor. The drivers always complain of it, but still they haven't realized any changes or help from the government. A native by the name Day also said that the condition they live in their houses is not healthy for them because water is all over their houses, and she wants the government to help them because they cannot afford the money it requires transforming their environment. The natives also complain about the risks behind their health, urging the government to come to their rescue as soon as possible. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Dado Cham.
Those were the local stories. We'll be back with international news after the short break.
bar fenkil nañ jaxal jang nga fem fi jabu ka bete nga fem fi jabu ka bete nga fem fi yang ko jaxal ta fam malo bekel nyaadi
le jambando soto angare nyeng leo soto yake jang ila soto fengo fam be yuru wara
ye jambando ha he wato alhamdulillah sa jambando mo so la nyaadi le
sañi moli abulale kata fan kata depo nyinto hani ni futata je depo to sañi buka wafi de ka kodo ta mo bulu ka boto dila wo bo sañi wo botale sañi mimbe kering wolem nyinti ko reliance ibita wolto ye kodo jo reliance ka risitol dira risito nyinga ku matal de wo risito nyin ni adila e ka wole samba depo nyintu ne risito di yela jambando soto
comme ngi yek mo fu nyami ngamoyle nim fana bodo jang ko tanke mbira jambando sanna
GGC wolem Gambia Groundnut Corporation wolle be mararen nyin jambando la kola andu ila nyin jang ngalo ne nyin jambando ni yake jang ifam ba fala nyela
tumondo bar me jambando kale fana ngaji be nim ko ya mbita wolto mbita sekro direct nim tara ye rek me jambando sanna oto mbadi ngol ñewode ñul naadal kana mol dahandi GGC ka jambando data la mole fadal ci ceme worwula he ñomu alten tubal mbati woto nimboru bayta ngata na jambando la ko dojo woto jang msansan sa mbe wutule ngata fo reliance nganna jambando la ko dojo jeto ngana risito ta ngata depo wala ngaji be CPMS katu ñundu la fulo de min suriyata na rek nin tara ngajo je benna jambando sotla al nimbara bak ala baraka hey alhamdulillah ñomu ala tan dubal moro ñina metu abde no sanal
Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gosh, producers of the finest tomato paste in the Gambia. Jeja tomato paste, available in 5 kilos, 1 kilo and in sachets. For wholesale and retail, visit our factory at Banjulanding. We are also producers of Jeja mineral water, cool, clear and fresh. Gosh, Gambia, Angola, China Holding, with headquarters at Fatu Golden Plaza, Mile 7, Bertel Harding Highway. Gosh Group also provides the best security company, Gosh Security, for your offices, warehouses, homes and personal property. Gosh Group for all your construction projects, offering you quality water reticulation for your gardens, pump irrigation, tidal irrigation projects and all types of buildings. You can contact Gosh on 396-7894, 700-8993, 373-0259. Visit us at Gosh Global Group on Battle Harden Highway, Fatu Golden Plaza. Our website www.goshglobal.com. Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gosh.
falindir balle bina sotola alka television jube nyameng Escaf Gambia ye DTT decoder kutamal lenati dameng alse GRTS QTV Star TV Paradise TV ani MTA be soto min na natalol anin kuma kangol be senearing lew andung ite fenjola DTT decoder akesan dalasi wuli fula ani dalasi tanani doronga andung ibe sola karikilina ye bantala bankol la channel jama jube andung ite kodi wo kodi jola ni lafita ka kontine ka min siata ye channel tan woro wala jube katake ye subscribe wolom kari wo kari ibe dalasi keme lulu ani dalasi tan donne jola ise football league channelol be jube news african movies telenovela film dima balu musical ani cartoon pour dindingol alta DTT decoder sang Escaf la showroom mimbe Senegambia wotumo dream park be dame warang ila agentol minul be banko kan ali kumandi 446-1060 446-1061.
And now, news beyond our borders. Mali's opposition on Sunday rejected concession by President Ibrahima Boubacar Keita aimed at resolving an escalating political crisis that has sparked deadly protests, saying it will be satisfied only if he resigned. Keita promised to form a national unity government and dissolve the constitutional court, but tension remains high and people are still demanding his resignation. Al Jazeera's Ahmed Idris report.
Demonstrators defy calls by their leaders to stay off the streets of Bamako. Their target this time is the headquarters of the ruling RPM party in the capital. As they ransack the offices, police arrived firing tear gas. Earlier, funeral prayers were held for 4 victims killed as police clashed with opposition alliance members late Saturday. Mali's security forces called them troublemakers, but protest organizers led by the influential Imam Mohamed Dicko consider them as martyrs.
First of all, I want to pay tribute to the young who died in the latest protests. I call on all Malians, and the young in particular, not to fall into the trap of violence. We can be strong without being violent. Our determination for this struggle is unshakable. We fight to restore the honour of the nation, to end this catastrophic situation that this government has led us into, for the decay of Mali to no longer be a reality, but a memory. This movement we have started is the beginning of hope.
Thousands gathered for the funeral. As the dead were taken for burial, hundreds stayed behind. They said they feared for their leader's safety. On Friday, thousands of protesters took over government buildings in the capital. They pushed their way into the parliament compound and the national television station, burned tires and barricaded roads in the capital. Police responded with tear gas. Gunfire was heard. 60 people were arrested, among them several opposition figures. The protesters returned on Saturday, but in smaller numbers. Their anger is directed at President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita. Demonstrations began in June after Mali's constitutional court overturned election results and have evolved to include frustrations over the economy, alleged corruption and insecurity from armed groups. Embattled President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita tried to appease the protesters.
Avec toutes les forces vives de la nation.
I will continue to favor dialogue with all the active forces of the nation for the establishment of a national unity government composed of Republican and patriotic groups, and not the breakers and demolishers of the country. Mali deserves better than that.
Shortly after, security forces clashed with protesters at the home of Mahmoud Dicko. President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita, or Ibeka as is known in Mali, had promised to dissolve the court at the heart of the disputed election results, hold elections in contested areas, and form a national unity government.
They're an important first step. And I think the idea is that the president is going to join with the opposition and have hopefully real dialogue. And hopefully this will take place under the eyes of ECOWAS, the regional group that I think can actually help make sure that this moves forward smoothly.
The opposition had earlier rejected Keita's offer to reform the constitutional court and demanded the dissolution of parliament. A team from the regional bloc ECOWAS is trying to mediate between the two sides. But with the renewed violence coming hours after calls for calm by opposition leaders, there are concerns of more clashes in the coming days. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera.
Iran's supreme leader has addressed the country's parliament amid growing division and unanswered questions over the explosion at the Natanz nuclear facility earlier this month. Ayatollah Khamenei called on legislators to unite. Al Jazeera Asad Bait reports from Tehran.
He is the highest authority in the country, and he used his first address to Parliament to call for calm.
Relations with government should be in accordance with the law and Sharia. Questioning and investigation are your rights, as has been mentioned in the law, but insulting and accusing someone without providing accurate information are not your right.
That's after members of Iran's most conservative parliament since its 1979 revolution heckled and shouted at Foreign Minister Javad Zarif. He was called a liar by some in parliament, angry over the handling of the 2015 nuclear deal. A deal that was supposed to curb Iran's nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. But since Donald Trump pulled the US out of that deal and reimposed sanctions, Iran's economy has struggled, and it's prompted conservatives who gained a majority in elections earlier this year to turn on President Hassan Rouhani and his reformists.
You shouldn't have emotional and irrational reactions. It should be wise and justified. Sometimes you don't agree with an opinion 100%.
These may be normal political differences, but Iran has also suffered an explosion at a suspected missile site and a fire at its Natanz nuclear plant in recent weeks, which Iran has said could cause delays for parts of its program.
There's been financial damage, but thank God, no casualties.
An admission of damage, but no indication of what the cause was or who was behind it. Some outside the country have pointed the finger at Israel and the US, the supreme leader reminding his parliament of the threat the country faces and how they must stand together against the US. There are attempts by conservative politicians to summon President Rouhani to parliament to face questions, and there's even talk of impeachment. It's not clear if the Ayatollah's remarks will stop this course of action. If they don't, then it will put conservative politicians on a collision course with the supreme leader. If they listen, then they could be accused of towing the line and not holding President Rouhani to account. Asad Beg, Al Jazeera, Tehran.
At least 9.7 million children may never go back to school after COVID-19 shuts down, according to Save the Children. The charity is calling it a hidden education emergency and says girls will be hardest hit. Al Jazeera's Charity Bellis reports.
10-year-old Elvis is from Harare and has been out of school for 4 months. He doesn't like it. He says he's forgotten his lessons and misses his friends.
I heard our school was closing in March because there was a disease called coronavirus. If it ends, we can get help with reading and writing at school.
A report by child advocacy group Save the Children has found that at least 10 million children locked out of school by coronavirus will never go back. Children in West and Central Africa, Yemen and Afghanistan are at extremely high risk of dropping out, while millions more are falling behind. Save the Children is forecasting that government budget cuts and rising poverty may lead to a $77 billion education shortfall across many countries until 2022. That could rise to nearly $200 billion if governments divert more funds from education to COVID response. With many parents like Shupai now out of work, they cannot pick up the difference.
What bothers me is because I have no money and I can't work, I end up crying because I think my children will end up out of school because I'm poor.
Of the world's 1.6 billion children who missed school this year, her daughter, 10-year-old McLean, is one of 500 million who fell on the wrong side of the digital divide.
While I'm at home, I'm not able to do online lessons because we don't have electricity. We don't have a laptop or the internet.
Girls will pay the heaviest price for school shutdowns, with many forced into early marriage or at risk of teen pregnancy. It starts a troubling cycle.
When those girls become mothers, those children are far less likely to be vaccinated. They're far more likely to die before their 5th birthday. We know that every year of education will increase earnings by around 9% a year. So for millions of children, this is their exit out of poverty, which is being closed down.
Save the Children is calling it a hidden education emergency and has urged debtors to delay repayments for poorer countries so they can pay for schools. COVID-19 threatening the prospects of millions of children for decades to come. Charlotte Bellis, Al Jazeera.
And before we end the news, a recap of our main headlines. In a press release sent to Star TV following a fruitful discussion at the headquarters of the National Human Rights Commission on Friday, 10 July 2020, with the Gambia Police Force, the National Human Rights Commission, the Gambia Bar Association and the Association of Non-Governmental Organization Tango, the Inspector General of Police has agreed to drop with immediate effect all the charges preferred against Mr. Madi Jobate. The Health Minister, Dr. Amadou Lamin Samate, made this revelation at a press briefing held last week on Friday at his ministry in Banjul. Mr. Samate seized the opportunity to extend his condolences to the family of a nurse who died of COVID-19. Haruna Jatta, a native of Kanilai village, the hometown of ex-President Yahya Jammeh, was allegedly shot to death by the economic forces at Kanilai in 2017. He was among the protesters that called for the removal of the economic soldiers from Fonyi. However, Mai Ahmed Fati said that protest was unlawful. The assistant spokesperson of the Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction, APRC, Duduja, has denied the headline publication of the Standard newspaper stating that the APRC has confirmed talks with NPP for a coalition. He added that he was interviewed by that medium yesterday, but their headlines of today was misleading. Star TV went to Ibo Town to see the current situation of the natives after a day-long rain yesterday. The residents of Ibo Town urged the government to help them regarding the poor condition they have lived in since the regime of former President Yahya Jammeh. And on the international scene, Mali opposition on Sunday rejected concession by President Ibrahima Boubacar Keita aimed at resolving an escalating political crisis that has sparked deadly protests, saying it will be satisfied only if he resigned. Keita promised to form a national unity government and dissolve the constitutional court, but tensions remain high and people are still demanding his resignation. Iran's supreme leader has addressed the country's parliament amid growing divisions and unanswered questions over the explosion at the Natanz nuclear facility earlier this month. Ayatollah Khamenei called on legislators to unite. At least 9.7 million children may never go back to school after COVID-19 shutdown, according to Save the Children. The charity is calling it a hidden education emergency and says girls will be the hardest hit. That's all for this edition of the news. Do join us tomorrow for more news. Please stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs. Thank you.